Hey everyone, welcome to RotoWire Fantasy Football Live. Coming at you for an extra start sit stream. We will have one on, as usual, Sunday at 11, but there is an international game. Don't know how much interest there is in Patriots Colts. I imagine people may still want to come on, but let's get some questions going today. Remember, if you don't get your question answered right away, not many here right now, I will get to you. It's just usually a bunch of people show up, and when I get to the questions, I do try to give you a why so you can make your best decision, and that's kind of the way we roll. We're here 5 days a week on this show. We're not on Wednesday and Thursday. And we're also next week, pay attention tomorrow. We're going to start launching, instead of doing the second stream, we're going to have something where I'm answering questions. Hey, OG Cash, welcome aboard on Insta. So we're going to start doing something. We'll have the Sunday show, and that'll be at next week, going forward every 11 o'clock. But we're also, and you're welcome for the advice, we're going to also have Albert, welcome. Everybody in the house, see a number of people here excited that you're here. Thank you for making part of your routine. Also, I'm going to be doing something with Twitter answers. So the Sunday start stream, and then Saturday, probably before my XM show at 1 Eastern, an hour before that, I should be able to answer a question on Twitter through the RotoWire page, but I'll have more details on that. So remember to follow my X at Jim Coventry NFL, and there'll be updates as to what's going on with that. I have people on about 4 different platforms, and I will get to everybody in middle of time. Start out with Rupin. You need 2: Addison, JSN, Gabe Davis, or Cortland Sutton. So Addison, it's going to be the great equalizer, this quarterback situation with Josh Dobbs. He does half field reads, rolls to the right a lot. It was great what he did last week, just heroic coming in, not knowing anything. But we're going to have a little bit of apprehension with the ceiling. And New Orleans is a really tough matchup. Now, Addison's done well in tough matchups, but I think this is a really rugged matchup for Josh Dobbs too. So I'm a little bit worried about him. JSN, now in the last game he saw, it was Baltimore. He saw all those targets. Remember, they usually play about 70% 2 tight end sets, and JSN's not on the field frequently. But in that game, they were getting blown out. They had to go to 3 receiver sets. So he, again, remains a 4 to 5 target game. And when he, again, there's the target tree goes Metcalf, then it goes Lockett, and then it goes JSN. So he's a floor play. Gabe Davis is your ultimate boom bust because he probably gets Damari Mathis a lot, which is a great quarterback matchup. But we see there are weeks where Davis doesn't necessarily have those big games. So he's going to be your boom bust. Sutton has been a good floor guy. And Buffalo, they are struggling. I know they brought in Rasul Douglas. Not really worried about him in this one, but they're struggling against the pass. So I'm going to rank them this way. Your best floor plays, Sutton's your best floor play. Addison is your second best floor play. And then Gabe Davis, if you want to go boom bust, he would have the highest upside, but the lowest floor. And I would consider actually moving him over Addison if you want the boom bust. JSN is not getting enough targets for me to put into that framework. You also have one more. Again, if you have, when you ask your questions, I will get to you. Just give me a little time. Rupin, other players are Stroud, Gibbs, Kamara, Aaron Jones, Jonnu Smith. Yeah, bye weeks are tough. So, all right. Duran, welcome. Good to see you here. Disco Dave, you're back. Welcome also. Non-PPR, TD Heavy League need 2 of these. You need Ford, Moss, Fournette, who unless you saw something very recently, I don't expect Fournette to be off the practice squad, and Algier. So Ford, Baltimore is good against the run. The interior line is pretty good at run blocking for Cleveland. They're without both tackles, so that's a little bit problematic there. Moss has seen his snap share go down each week. I want to say Taylor was near 78% last week, and so Moss is starting to get phased out, very unfortunately. So an Algier, he's going to get his double-digit touches. The matchup against Arizona is very good. So I would say, though, the highest floor play of them all is going to be Ford because you'll see some targets as well. And then I would say, so the second one, look, Moss right now, very hard to trust him. And New England is lights out against the run. So I'm going to go with Algier as my second. No, he's not a great player, but at least there's a good matchup. So I would say I would go that way. And then Gabe Davis or Tank Dell. And so Tank Dell they're playing him on the outside more. I was talking about Mario on the show today. Lou Anarumo probably is an answer for them. These are both boom bust plays. Tank Dell, look, what happened last week, Jamel Dean left with a concussion, and then the hell gates broke loose. Tank Dell has 3 games with low yardage. He has a couple monster games. Gabe Davis, similar spot. He was on a touchdown streak, and then he was cold. They're both extreme boom bust plays. I think it's more likely that Buffalo's offense plays well than Houston repeating. Remember, 2 weeks prior, Stroud had less than 200 yards passing, and then he blows up against Tampa, who lost the corner. So just Since he's going to be a tough matchup for them. It's an equal. It's a flip a coin. So if your gut said Davis, what you said, then definitely do that. The zone, Lou Anarumo, don't think you got him figured out. It's not just as easy with Lou Anarumo. Oh, he plays zone. Lou Anarumo is game plan specific. If he sees something he wants to take, and Nico Collins is out. If he sees something he's taking away, he's taking it away. It's that simple. So just kind of, sometimes it's not as easy. It's a great point, but it's not as easy as zone and man, and in some circumstances, some coaches it is, but Anarumo is one of those. He just is not the sum of his parts. Stevie YC on Insta traded Devontae Smith for Hopkins. Did you make a bad one? Both have potential for big second halves. Personal preference. Both guys won. Both guys, gals, whoever won the deal. Both of them won. Both. If you like the players on each side, I think both people should walk away saying, "I like the trade." I would say that the same way. The real MP, Monty, Achan, and Pittman for A.J. Brown and Aaron Judge. All right, now I'm off on Aaron Jones, maybe? I think it must be Aaron Jones. Okay. Wow. A.J. Brown's a league winner. If he stays healthy, he could be the wide receiver one the rest of the way. Aaron Jones, I see him right around the top 12 running back. He's going to get usage. And Achan could be a league winner. You know, we saw it before, and he's going to be back. So in Montgomery, the only worry is that they give Gibbs a little more of a role after he did well, but I don't think so. My personal belief is Monty has his role and he's keeping it. So my guess is you got three solid players, but then you got a league winner in A.J. Brown, but Achan can be a league winner too. It's a 50-50. If it's personal preference, if you like it, take it, but there's nothing wrong with either side of that deal. One more on Insta before I bounce back to Craig and Iowa. I appreciate you. Thank you. I am Luigi. What's up? Gino or Watson? Right. Gino is a pristine matchup here. So Washington is about the two edge rushers they traded away, Chase Young and Montez Sweat. And that was the problem. Gino was under pressure. His tackles aren't holding up. Well, this game, they should hold up. So that said, in the run game, the interior tackles for Washington are still great. You got Deron Payne, you got Jonathan Allen. It's going to be hard to run, but the passing game should flow. In the corners, they're no match for the Seattle receivers. And Watson is a bad matchup. Look, I like Watson, and he played good ball last week, but I don't think against Baltimore. I think Baltimore is going to be able to limit him quite a bit. So I like Gino by a good deal. Raydell Rodriguez. Start Lamar Jackson or Goff. Goff's on the road. I always have a less of an affinity for Goff on the road. Overall, in the last 2 years, he has an occasional game, but he does not play the same level when he's outside of that dome. I know it sounds stupid, but it's been a real thing for him. Lamar Jackson's a bad matchup. Jackson should have that rushing floor. So it's tough because Goff probably throws 2 touchdowns here, even though it's a road game, because the Chargers are bad on defense. Lamar has that big string of 0 and 1 touchdown, though. And so that's where your break point is. So, you know, I think Goff is a safer floor. I'm going to say this. Goff is a safer floor. He has like a 17-point floor for you. Jackson, the floor is close, but I think he could run in a touchdown or two. So I would give Jackson a 55 to 45 edge, a little bit of significance. But if your gut says Goff, I know it's a road game, but again, I think you bank him for 2 touchdowns here. And Lamar doesn't often get 2 touchdowns, so there's that. But the rushing game, that's what gives Lamar his appeal. And then Ray Dell have one more, Dell or Marquise Brown. So I was saying earlier, Dell's great. I mean, he has these big, huge games, but then he has games where he slowed down. And with no Nico Collins, Lou Anarumo is going to pay a little extra attention to him. Not worried about Robert Woods. And I know Noah Brown in the game. He's not worried about him. He's not worried about Dalton Schultz. Dell's the guy he needs to make sure doesn't have big plays. And I think Lou Anarumo was able to do that. And I know Sam Hubbard, one of the edge rushers, but Trey Hendricks is the pressure guy anyway. So I think that Marquise Brown should get double-digit targets here. That's what it was with him and Kyler. I imagine Kyler's ready to roll. He's going to get him the ball. That's going to be his primary read. Brown is way safer. Dell is more boom bust in this matchup at Cincinnati. Good questions. Oh, and I didn't click that one on the screen. I'm sorry. I'll leave that up there. And I'm going to go to Insta for a couple here. And again, Craig and Iowa, thank you for the kind words. Howard Coda, start Irwin or Singletary. You know, I like Irwin here. Oh, man. Steven Nelson's out, corner for Cincinnati. Shaquille Griffin is left. They're going to have to make sure that he's like near Chase because they can't like put nobody on Chase. Now they did, since he did elevate 2 practice squad guys. One was for Higgins. They might have some worry about it, but Chase could be a decoy too. I'm worried. But that said, Trenton Irwin, because Tyler Boyd is a terrible matchup. Tavir Thomas is a great slot corner. So to Irwin, I think he's catching 6 or 7 passes. I think he's getting 60 to 70 yards. I think he has a decent chance to score a touchdown here. Singletary, look, you see it. He's not, I mean, you're smart by putting him in the question. He's getting volume, and volume is king in fantasy football. Cincinnati's not been great against the run, but they're not terrible and they're at home. So I'm going to go with Irwin here by a decent amount. I'll say 60-40 on that one. I mean, could Singletary fall in the end zone? Yes, but Irwin has just the same chance of scoring, I think. All right, let's see. We got another Insta question. And then Howard, you traded Barkley and Kirk for Achane and Puka. I don't know what we're going to get out of Puka in the second half. I mean, he played some great games. Then he had some rough ones, but now Matthew Stafford's back. I hate to keep saying personal preference, but these are good deals. I usually don't see good deals. The 3 I've covered in the show, they're all good deals for both sides. Achane has that massive upside. Barkley has a phenomenal floor. Kirk, nice floor ceiling combination. Puka, we've seen how great it's the third one. Honestly, I'm not saying this. These are 50-50 deals. So both players should walk away saying, "Yep, good deal." B. Ali, this is back on YouTube. PPR flex need one. Keaton Mitchell, Singletary, or Taysom Hill, I assume. Taysom Hill in the last 3 weeks, like 18, 22, and 20 PPR points. Man, that's tough to pass up on, right? Now, Keaton Mitchell, we saw what he saw last week. Look, I'm not throwing any shade on Mitchell. Mitchell, while that game was competitive, he had a 9-yard run, an 11-yard run. It was the end of the third quarter in the fourth in a blowout game. He had a 40 and a 60-yard run. He's capable of that. He's a dynamic speed guy. Hamstring injury. He practices Friday. That gets me a little nervous because he's a speed guy. Speed guys, fast twitch. That gets me nervous. And Singletary, you heard me talking about him a minute ago. His floor, the way Hill's getting the ball, until he's not, we can't say he's not going to. His floor is higher than Singletary's right now. And now it's a matter of Keaton Mitchell. How much work will he get? He got 9 carries last week, and again, 6 of those were in garbage time. Justice Hill and pass protection is something they count on. So the safest way to go would be with Taysom Hill. I almost say if you want to swing for defense, Keaton Mitchell, but I don't know what that ceiling is right now. Again, last week, it's a tough one to call. Hill's been 4 weeks in a row of like sound usage. Until he doesn't, I got to trust him. But if your gut says Mitchell, look, you pop your fab for him probably. If he's healthy, the excitement's there. And maybe he breaks another long one, and then you'd hate to kick back and say, this is what I sat. So there's that, but I'd start Taysom Hill. And then B-Ali, you have one more for now, and I see you got a little more there. PPR, Dotson or Watson? Oh, man. All right, I do have to go with the court. Oh, you mean Christian Watson? All right, then it's got to be Dotson. His target share has been up. Now, I know the production's 2 games in a row, but the target share has been up. I know Mario Puig, who I worked with on XM, he thought there was a correlation with Curtis Samuel being on. Maybe, but the targets aren't that drastically different than what Dotson had before he started to produce. And at this point right now, I have to think with Seattle, I mean, the corners are tough, but this is like a first-round draft pick. Dotson out of Penn State, 16, he's shown that talent level. And so I think he's fine here. And Watson, if he doesn't click on a long play, which rarely happens, he's like not even rosterable. Honestly, he's like a hope for a long play flex. I'm going to go Dotson like 70-30 here. And Albert, hello to you as well. Instagram, Lord Realty. I hope I said it right. Sorry if I didn't. Addison or Drake London. Oh, man. So Heineke's at a quarterback. Arizona. My thought is this is a high-scoring game. That's my thought. My thought is that Murray's good enough against his defense, which has been good, but Arizona's at home. They got Connor back, and obviously Marquise is healthy, which he's been. I think they score points, and I think this is kind of a shootout-type game, and Heineke gets London back, and he's the YOLO dude. He's going to throw the ball downfield, and Arizona has like nobody to deal with London. Addison, again, I am very concerned, having Josh Dobbs, and again, I know I like what he did, but New Orleans is a tough tough draw. I'm going to say Drake London 55-45. All right. Carlos Mario Tronosco. I'm sorry if I said it wrong. Hawkinson or Dalton Kincaid. You can't go wrong. Hawkinson has been money. Kincaid's been money the last 3 weeks. They're going to get their targets. I don't really even worry about matchups with Hawkinson because he's a check down. He's reliable. Josh Dobbs is going to lean on him. He's going to have to. It's in his vision and when he's in the middle of the field where he's there. But Kincaid, it's been in Denver's not middle of the field for Denver. That's fertile ground. Honestly, that's a coin flip. Because Hawkinson, I know that he's automatically going to be a major focal point of the passing game. Kincaid, I assume he'll be because he's been for a couple of weeks now. But can I say with certainty they're going to keep going to him? They probably do. So I'd say 51-49 Hawkinson. But if your gut says Kincaid, this is a true coin flip on this one. Craig in Iowa, you have Howell, Trevor, and Geno for your 2-quarterback league. My God, it's hard to sit Howell right now, right? Last 2 weeks, Eric Bieniemy. I got to give that dude a lot of credit. He has Howell getting the ball out fast, and the sacks are going down, and the production's going up, and that's huge. So when we look at Sam Howell, they're playing Seattle. It's not a great matchup. Now Seattle gets some pass. It gets weaker teams, but Washington doesn't have they're an okay line, but Seattle, I think they get some pressure here, and the corners are good. It's not a great matchup, but Trevor's not getting multi-touchdown games. And the 49ers, now they got Chase Young, and they before the bye, they got Randy Gregory in to go with the pass rush. And Trevor's a floor play, but Howell runs too. Geno's in a great spot this week. And I know he soils the bed frequently, but Geno, because Washington's without their 2 pass rushers, Geno has real upside, and it's not the easiest team to run on. If it's me, the best quarterback of the 3 is Trevor, but I'm starting Geno, and so I'm starting Geno, Craig in Iowa, but the second one, I'm inclined to say Howell 51-49 over Trevor Lawrence. The name Trevor Lawrence, we hate sitting him, but Geno has a great matchup here. So if you got a gut feel on Trevor Lawrence and knowing Geno has a propensity to soil the bed, you could go Trevor over Geno. I wouldn't sit Howell. He seems to be getting it done regardless of opponent. All right. And then Law Jake, and I'll come back to YouTube in a moment. Would I play for flex PPR? Jake Ferguson, Gabe Davis, or Noah Brown? I really think, look, I love CJ Stroud. He's wonderful last week. The 2 prior weeks was less than 200 yards. Lou Anarumo is going to have some kind of an answer for him. I have to think there's going to be some confusing looks, and because Stroud, he's going to be a superstar, but he hasn't been that every week. And Lou Anarumo at home, so that gets me nervous about Noah Brown, because Noah Brown's just a guy. And Robert Woods is back now. I know Nico's not in, so that helps that. Gabe Davis, very boom bust. Matchup is great. But now it's a matter of Geno gets in the ball, right? So I see Charlene's in the house. Welcome back. And Jake Ferguson, here's the only deal with Ferguson. Ferguson would be the safest of these. If Dallas gets out to some crazy, insane lead early because of defense and running, which that doesn't usually happen, then he could be a non-factor. I do think Ferguson's your floor play, though. I think he should get you 10 PPR points. If you need 20, I'd go Gabe Davis. But if 10 is good, then go with Ferguson, because Davis has floor. We see him. Some weeks he doesn't get anything, right? Bialy, you got a couple more here. Bijan, you need 1. Algier, Chandler, or Kelly. Kelly, he had that one decent run last week. But Detroit's solid against the run, and they're solid against the interior run. And so I'm kind of out on him. Algier is the best matchup of the 3. Chandler, it's a bad matchup, and I don't even know how much they're going to use him. I wouldn't be stunned if Kenny Nwangu came in and played some. They apparently were seeing sour on Chandler to me. So I know you got Bijan already. I'm probably going to go Algier. I just think this game can be productive all over the place. That's the way I'd lean on that. And then Warren or Ford. Warren's going to get his 4 catches. Ford may get 3 catches in this game too, though. Yardage isn't going to be much with Baltimore, I wouldn't think. You can always break a big play. I guess there's that. I think Warren is a safer PPR floor. I think he has a 7-point floor, 7-point floor. 4 is more likely to score a touchdown. Not that they're going to score touchdowns, but he's more likely to do. But then again, Kareem Hunt is the red zone guy. So he'd have to score it on something odd like a reception. Probably giving Warren a 54-46 edge over Ford on that one. All right. And Instagram, what we got here? Brody Deba. I hope I said that right too. Keaton Mitchell or Singletary. Singletary's got a floor. He's got a floor for you. Let's see. Let me just try to think what his floor would be. He probably has a 7-point floor. Keaton Mitchell, again, we assume the hamstring's fine. He had a full practice Friday. We have to assume he's going to get at least 6 carries. We have to assume that much. He had 9 last week in the blowout. So he has floor. Because if he doesn't pop a big run, you end up holding the bag. But Singletary, I don't think has a ceiling in this game against Cincinnati. I don't think there's a big ceiling here. So, look, if you can risk some floor if he doesn't bust it, Mitchell has real upside. But if you just want to bank yourself 7 to 10 points and call it a day, it'll be Singletary. Look at your matchup, see what suits your needs better. If you need the upside play, it clearly would be Mitchell. But I really want to see in a competitive game what his workload is going to be. Because remember, he had the 40 and the 60-yard run at the end of the third quarter and in the fourth quarter. That game was way out of hands. Stevie, you're welcome. Carlos Mario Tronasco, Hawkinson, questionable, or Dalton Kincaid. I'm not worried about the questionable tag for Hawkinson anyway. I haven't heard any indication that he's not playing. And this time of year, we're going to see a lot of injury reports. So I answered this for somebody earlier, if it was you or somebody else. Personal preference, I give Hawkinson a 51-49 edge because we know he's the focal point of the interior passing game. Whereas Kincaid, we think that is, but we can't really say with certainty. May Borey, would I start Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott? So the problem that I worry about for Dak is if they get out to this big lead and they don't have to throw. We've seen games where Dallas has been so dominant on defense that he doesn't have to throw. So now that said, if they have to throw, my gosh, he could have a massive game here. I don't think Lamar Jackson's going off here. Not against Cleveland. I don't see that happening. So I think Jackson, he's your best bet to get 17 points. He's your best bet to get 17 of these two. Prescott, though, has the best chance of getting 25 to 28, but he does carry a floor. And so, again, look at your matchup. If you need the safe 17 to 20, you're Jackson. If you need to have a blow-up game from your quarterback, you got to take the downside risk that they don't need Dak in this game. And then Jake, do I like Ferguson Giants? The same reason I said with Dak. Yes, I like him. If they need to go to him, he's going to have a big game. But if Dallas gets out with defensive scores or they run and they have a big lead, they may not need him. But I do like him. He is a top 10 tight end. I mean, I just want to paint the case of why he may not have a good game. But for the most part, I would be in on him and saying he's a strong option. Again, appreciate everybody here. If you're waiting for your question to be answered, there's a pretty good queue, and it's a pretty significant queue, but I will get to you. Be patient. I will get here, but excited that you're here, and thanks for hanging out with me today and making me part of your football routine. It means a lot. All right, let's see. So I had answered that for B. Ali. J. Red, need a running back and a flex for a PPR. Connor is playing. Yeah, they activated him about an hour or so ago, maybe a little longer. Gus Edwards, Jalen Warren, Osborne, Demario Douglas, who has an ankle, not 100% here. I roll with I'm rolling with Connor. I got Connor in my lineups this week, so that's my seal of approval. And I'm a James Conner guy, but he's going to get right back into the fray. That knee injury was never serious. They gave 4 weeks out of an abundance of caution and got him back right away. My guess is it's a tough running matchup, but Connor's gotten it done all year. He had rough matchups earlier, and I think he gets more receiving love here with Kyler Murray, especially for some interior pressure. And so I'm all in on Connor. Your second play. Gus Edwards, he's had the touchdowns. He's on a hot streak, 6 in 3 weeks. He's been hot on the ground. Warren is your PPR. Warren has like a better PPR floor because Gus could just have, a Met game. I'm going to go with Gus. He's running hot. Cleveland will give up chunks of yardage in the running game, and he's shown he's been able to get that. So it's really between Edwards and Warren. I think Gus has more upside than Warren, and I don't think the floor is that much lower than Warren. So I would go with Gus Edwards, but I'm definitely going to go with James Conner in there as your number one. Jim Menke, half PPR if you choose between Singletary or Demario Douglas. I don't know the condition on Demario Douglas's ankle. Limited practice was probably not too bad. Singletary is, basic floor play, doesn't really do a lot of damage in the receiving game. So the expectation is in my mind that, and Douglas has the early game in the morning. So if you see pregame, I mean, obviously, if he's active, there's no reason he isn't catching 6 passes here. And I think that alone, even in half PPR, I think that bumps him a bit above Singletary. Singletary just hasn't been good, and Texans line, the run blocking hasn't been good at all. So there's that, and honestly, I'm backing up Houston. Cincinnati's going to be okay. Cincinnati's going to be okay against the run. They're going to be okay at home against the run, I think, here. Instagram. I think I froze there. I'll come back to Instagram. I keep freezing on Insta. I don't know why. BLE, Gabe Davis, or Demario Douglas. So I'll say this. Because Douglas is less than 100% and Gabe Davis is your other option, Gabe Davis is boom bust. It's true. But, man, he's going to get a lot of Damari Mathis. So I got to go with Gabe Davis because, they got to get him involved at some point. Douglas is a better floor play. All right, assuming the ankle's okay enough, he's a much better floor play. Probably gets you 8 to 10. I don't think there's a ceiling for him, especially if the ankle's a little bit of a problem. And so Gabe Davis has obviously a much higher floor. So if you want to play the floor game, it would be Douglas. Again, a little worried about the ankle, but otherwise, Gabe Davis. And Charlene, good to see you always. And let's see, Stashing Miami, DST. Yes. They're out there, right? Miami's on the bye this week. And pay attention, everybody, on this. If you think I'll break the show for a second for this. Bye week players that are been dropped because of the bye week, make some careful moves and pick someone. If you could preemptively stash these players, like if you're in a kicker league, I don't do kicker leagues, but if you got a kicker from, Miami kicker, you got the Kansas City kicker, even the Philly kicker, they have guaranteed floors. Their offense is going to score something. I think Kansas City gets their offense figured out a little bit after the bye, but stash those players. And the Miami defense, it's huge. Jalen Ramsey's going to be in another couple of weeks to get fully healthy, and that defense already has a good pass rush. And so stashing players like that are huge. And Jerick McKinnon, look, it may not happen, but I've been pointing out to my listeners on XM and otherwise that the beat writer from Kansas City that worked through the Athletic was very adamant of saying, Jerick McKinnon is an aging player. Andy Reid understands this. Don't expect to see much of him in the first half of the season. In the second half of the season, when they begin to prepare for a playoff run, expect to see Jerick McKinnon heavily featured. I have no reason to disbelieve that. McKinnon's had 2 long catches. I think one was a touchdown callback by stupid penalties. He is a major factor. They got to fix it up. I think he's part of the solution. So that's a player that might be out there on waivers. They're on a bye this week. If you could stash them, not a bad idea. All right. Master J, 3. Full PPR, pick 3. Ayuk, Ridley, Ford, or Pittman. I'm going with the receivers here. Even though Ridley has struggled, narrative, I have to think out of the bye. Doug Peterson knows there are things he does well. He runs the out. He runs the dig. There are a couple, and he can get these against San Francisco's corners. Peterson has to fix this. And my guess is with the week to think about his players' usage. He gets Ford, to me, doesn't have much of a ceiling here against Baltimore's defense. Whereas at least I know Ridley's getting targets. Ayuk and Pittman are in because of their talent volume that they're going to see. So I like that. And Instagram, Howard, appreciate you. I appreciate you trusting me. Thank you. And I answered that one for Carlos already. If you haven't answered your question, please be patient. I will definitely get to you, but just going to get to everybody here, right? Law Jake, sorry to keep having different variations, same questions. Gabe Davis for Jake Ferguson and PPR. So it's a similar thing. I think Jake Ferguson, even if it doesn't work out, I think he gets 4 targets. I think on those 4 targets, he catches 3 for about 35 yards, decent chance to score. So and Gabe Davis always has that crazy, stupid floor, right? So it's the same thing. If you want to bank about 7 or so certain PPR, and there's ceiling for more. If Dallas needs to throw, you could get a good game out of Ferguson where you get 70 yards and a touchdown. Gabe Davis in this matchup, again, he'll probably see a lot of Damari Mathis. My God, is that a mismatch? And so Gabe Davis potentially has big upside, but we don't always see that. Ferguson safer. All right. Scurry 0436, Boyd or Najim? It's a great question. on the surface, you would say Boyd all day, but here's the problem. Tavir Thomas, oh my gosh, he's such a good slot corner. He's been playing at a high level. It's a bad matchup for Boyd. And look, Joe Burrow's at quarterback. If he has too tight of a window, he's not going to force, right? And again, Trenton Irwin is going to have some windows. Irv Smith's going to have some windows. I don't know Chase's like full status, but if they can get the ball, certainly that's going to happen. Now, probably Joe Mixon game. So and I keep freezing up on Insta. My goodness, I don't know. I'm going to hang on and see if. So I'm sorry, Scurry. So I think I froze. So Jackson Smith and Jigba doesn't have a ceiling, but he probably catches 3 or 4 passes. And Tyler Boyd has those games and bad matches where he disappears. Now Boyd has a higher ceiling. If Boyd breaks something, which it could very possibly happen, they get him on a rub route and they can pick off Tavir Thomas and get him downfield. That certainly could happen. Smith and Jigba is a safer floor play in this game. Believe I'm saying that, but I honestly am because of that Tavir Thomas matchup. But Boyd has a higher ceiling. If that, hopefully that helps you. Craig and Iowa, you're welcome. And A. Schlesinger, 1, 2, 3 star. Kyler Murray. Depending on your options, I see him as a boom bust guy because I'm fully in. I tell people GPP play this week in their DraftKings because it's his first game back. There could be rust. It's a new offense. He hasn't run this offense. Apparently, he likes to be in this offense, but we haven't seen it, right? And so, and it's a matchup. Atlanta, good defense, but to me, I'm not really overly concerned. Kyler's supposed to have his mobility. So there's risk, though. There's real risk. But I think there's significant upside. So there's that. So I like Kyler Murray, but if you have him over like a more established option, I would probably go with the established option and watch him play a game first. But if you need him, yeah, I think there's no reason why you can't. Robert, welcome back. Half PPR, Michael Thomas or Tyler. I'm going to go Michael Thomas here. Overall, when I'm looking at this game against Minnesota, there's a lot of blitz. We're going to see the man they're going to blitz. And the hot read's going to be Michael Thomas. And look, Minnesota's covered well, but Michael Thomas has a lot of those interior routes, and Carr's going to have to get the ball out. So I'm going to go with Michael Thomas. You just heard me talk about the Tyler Boyd matchup, so there's that. Chargy 65. You need a flex. Yes, half PPR. Rashid Shaheed, Charbonnet, Spears, or Dillon. So Charbonnet has gotten extra work where Kenneth Walker has been recovering from some kind of a calf injury. So he's gotten extended work. I don't know if that continues. Washington is a tough run matchup for him. If he runs in the interior, it's Deron Payne, it's Jonathan Allen. That's tough. So Spears, try to think through Tampa Bay. I'm trying to think of how the screen game and how they'll handle that. I think their linebackers are fast enough to not maybe give him big plays there. Dillon, we saw him get 9 touches. The Pittsburgh matchup for him, being the plotting back, well, he has an advantage. Montravius Adams and nose tackles out, and linebacker Cole Holcomb towards ACL last week, middle linebacker. So Dillon should have like a floor of about 6 points in this game. So I'd say the floor play is Dillon. He has the best floor. Shaheed is your boom bust. It's going to be tough because Minnesota, that blitz, I don't know if the downfield stuff breaks, but Shaheed can always break a long play. He won't be the primary focus of defense. So Dillon's your floor play. If you need 15 points and you're willing to sacrifice floor, then Shaheed's your guy. But otherwise, Dillon will be your best floor play out of this group. He's getting enough snaps. He was still 40-something% last week. So there was that. King Jack, who do you start in your flex position? And by the way, everybody, thank you for being here. If you haven't had your question answered, please be patient. I will get to you. We got good people here like yourself waiting, and I will get to you as quickly as I can. King Jack, who do you start in your flex position? Full PPR, Taysom Hill, Madison, Connor, or Boyd? So Taysom Hill, like I said, has been supreme usage while Connor's back. And Connor's our lead back, and he looked so good, even when Dobbs was at quarterback. And look, I'm a Connor guy, and to me, whether he's running it, he's catching it at the goal line, he's the engine of the offense. And I think with Kyler back, it is a tough matchup, but he played tougher matchups this year, and he played well. And I think there's gonna be more room with Kyler in the offense. So Hill is very, very reasonable. But Connor, I know, is getting these 16 plus touches because he's the offense. So if your gut says Taysom, I get it. Personally, I'm going with Connor there. Jacob, you need a flex in a PPR. Shakir or Trenton Irwin. Yeah. I know everybody knows I love Irwin this week. I've been pitching him since the Higgins went. As soon as Higgins was ruled out, I'm posting up on Instagram and TikTok and all that. But Trenton Irwin, he's going to have a good week. Shakir, though, has been very involved too. I think the Bengals need Irwin a lot more than the Bills need Shakir this week. I do think so. Because Chase is going to get extra coverage and his back hurts, and Boyd has Tavir Thomas. Irwin is the best matchup. Shakir, he gets enough targets, but I think Irwin's getting more this week. I like Irwin. That look easy. All right. You got start JSN, Trenton Irwin, Jameson for boom game. You know, the problem with Jameson Williams is that I don't think we're gonna see a lot of those boom games, especially on the road. If Jared Goff is at home, I'm more confident in getting that downfield pass at home. It's not the same quarterback on the road. I'm gonna go Trenton Irwin here by a good deal. And then you get the Browns or the Bills defense. You know, the Bills defense isn't good right now. Daquan Jones, defensive tackle, that was a big loss. Matt Milano was a massive loss, and Tre'Davious White, they're just not good. And Sean Payton, it looked like Denver's getting a little bit better on offense. So look, the Browns have a bad matchup too, but I know they're going to get after Jackson. I know they're bringing pressure. That one I can say. So I'm just going to go with the Browns because the pressure, and they play man, and that's in theory the advantage against Lamar. I'm going to go with it. Steve Arnold. Amari or James Cook. You know, I know Amari's got a bad matchup. Watson's going to throw him the ball. Cooper's playing at an elite level. Cooper's playing like he's ahead of the corners. He can win deep. He can win underneath. James Cook hasn't been productive. In theory, it's a good matchup. We don't know who Denver's defense is. They were horrible, like world-class horrible, and then they were decent. What do we have, right? But his usage isn't always like right either. I'm going to go look. Cook probably has a higher floor. Cook probably is getting double-digit touches. Cooper could get schemed down. Cooper has a reasonable floor, but I believe he has a higher thing because I believe they need him. They need him to give them a chance in this game. And I think they could trail and they may need him. Cook safer. My lineup, I'm probably starting Cooper because I think there's a decent floor and enough upside. That's the way I go. Tyler Sperry. You got Ridley or Metcalf. Also Goff or Burrow. All right. So you called it, man. Goff playing outside. We always get a little bit nervous when that happens. So we're gonna go with Metcalf over Ridley. Metcalf, look, when Forbes is on the field, and I know they benched him a couple games, but he's on the field. Man, he's like twice his size, and the other corners they can't keep him. And the two edge rushers got traded away, Chase Young, Montez Sweat. So Geno have time to throw. Ridley, we just haven't seen the consistent production. Not the best matchup with the 49ers. I think Metcalf goes off here. I'm going to go with Metcalf. And then Goff or Burrow. I don't know how much production he's going to have. I think Mixon's going to get a lot done for him. Burrow's going to play the NFL good game. He's going to probably get them to a win. But I don't see a big stat game here. Goff on the road. I still think against the Chargers, I think he still gets 2 touchdowns. So the Chargers are bad. And that they get pressure against bad lines. They ain't getting pressure against the Detroit line. I hate sitting Burrow, but Chase is hurt. Chase is not close to 100%. If he was 100%, I'd say Burrow. But, man, they brought up a second practice squad guy today. That tells me that they already know Higgins out. They're worried about Chase. Because of that, I'm going Goff. Cannot believe that. Tom, you're awesome, man. Well, hey, you can get a girlfriend. That's fine. You'll be able to do that. But you got to hang out today and listen to some stuff. That's all good, man. That's appreciate you. And Charlene, Goff did play. Yeah, he did play in LA before. Yes. And I also, this is a joke. And I remember he got run out of town by Sean McVay. I wonder what McVay's thinking about that now. Interesting. I love it. All right, let's see. King Jack, tell me how I did with these trades. Tyreek, Sanders, and Hunt for Brown, Breece Hall, and Montgomery. Overall, I think the Brown, Breece Hall, Montgomery side is a big win because Hunt, Sanders. Yeah, I mean, Tyreek's great, but Brown is putting up similar numbers, and Breece Hall and Montgomery are better than the other two players. So that's the winning side in my mind. Bettina, hello to you as well. Should you play Kyler, Howell, or Dobbs? Oh, it's a good one because Dobbs, I'm going to be out on Dobbs this week. I love what he did last week. Dude is amazing. But they're playing, this is a different animal. Playing New Orleans, man, they cover it up. They get to the quarterback. Dennis Allen is a good defensive coach, and he knows that Josh Dobbs is looking for these half-field reads, and he runs to his right. They know. I imagine Dennis Allen's on this. So I'm going to move him out on that one. Howell's just been so dang good. And look, the enemy has him getting the ball out fast the last 2 weeks, and that's changed everything. Seattle's not an easy matchup, but Kyler Murray is at home in a big comeback game. They're very similar plays. I have Howell a little bit ahead because I did the unknown with Murray. What will he run like? Will there be rust? So he and Howell are very similar plays because Howell's been getting it done, and I don't have to worry about a rust. I'm going to give him an edge over Murray for that reason. If your gut says Murray, I do think he can have an outstanding game, but there's a lot of variables when you come back in that first game. And Tyler, yes, Collins is out. Nico Collins will not be playing this game. He was ruled out yesterday, I believe. And Charlene, yes, the only days of the year nowadays I don't exercise NFL season Sundays because I'm on XM at 8 a.m. my time, local time, and my gym opens at 7. So I can't, but I rarely ever miss a day otherwise. But thank you. I definitely try. It's very important. Discipline, right? It's all about discipline. Never motivated to go. Hate cardio, but that's why I do it because I know it's good for me, right? But thank you. All right, let's see. I'm going to come to Insta in a second. I got one more here. Raydell, Kyler Murray or Carr? Carr is at Minnesota. They're going to blitz a lot. He's not good when he's under pressure. On the road, he's not quite as good. I'm going to give Kyler Murray the edge here because I think Murray's going to run some in this game. All right, let's get some Insta questions here. Coach Amador, trade away Minshew, Montgomery, and receive Stroud and Connor. Yes, run, punch the button. Yes, Connor, I'm a Connor guy. Everybody knows, but he's good. He's going to have a great day. Remember, James Conner, week 10 on last year, he averaged 20 PPR points per game, and he didn't have duds in there. Montgomery's going to maybe lose a little work to Jahmyr Gibbs, and that would be hurtful. But I think Connor's equal with Montgomery anyway. And but if you're getting James Conner and you're getting Stroud, Minshew we always know this. Minshew, the turnover plays are there. He eventually will implode. That's every year of his career it happened. And Stroud, again, I don't think it's a great week this week for him, but man, he's going to produce for you down the stretch. I definitely think that's the way to go there. DKPA1 on Insta, full point PPR, Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Taylor. That's a tough. So I don't know if Walker's still really dealing with this calf thing. He hasn't looked the same the last couple of weeks, and last week it's a bad matchup against Baltimore. I get that. Jonathan Taylor, his snap share went up to like 71% last week. And look, he's got to be like really close to getting into game shape. New England's tough against the run, but they didn't give up receiving production. And Taylor's had like 5 and 6 target games. I'm going to bet on Jonathan Taylor in this one over Walker because Walker's running a little bit iffy right now. I think there is something up with that calf right now. And in the matchup, Washington interior, I get Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen. Badasses, man. They're tough in the run game. So I'm going to go with that. And then you're asking Debo or Deontay Johnson. It's tough with Debo, right? Because the usage hasn't been great. And I see I crapped out on, there you go. I'm back on Insta. Sorry about that. So, Deontay's been like 15 PPR points every game back. And now George Pickens whined about not getting the ball. So he could get a little elevated worker, but Green Bay, they're down Jair Alexander. They traded away Rasul Douglas. So I think Johnson's your floor play. And Debo hasn't had the great ceiling. And I crapped out again. Okay. So I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson over Debo. And I know Debo's a superstar and Deontay's a possession guy. I get it. But it's been 3 games in a row. And I think that's how you got to move the ball on Green Bay anyway. So, but man, I hate sitting Debo, but I kind of have to. If your gut says Debo, start him. Seriously, because Debo's a superstar. I mean, what if he breaks one long play, right? I hate to tell you to sit him, but again, Deontay's been like money, and it's been high floor. H. Schlesinger, 1, 2, 3. Start Murray or Trevor Lawrence. Well, you heard me talk about the rust potential with Murray. I do have a little concern. I think I love Murray in GPP. Because, again, I'm banking on that big game, and I know there's floor. Lawrence hasn't been getting a lot done, though, from a fantasy. He's great for NFL. But for fantasy, it's just not getting it done. So, and by the way, if your question is getting answered, please be patient. I'm going to try to get through these as quickly as I can, but we got a lot of questions, a lot of good questions. So, Murray should run for some yards, though. 49ers getting their people back. They added to their pass rush. I'm going with Kyler over Trevor Lawrence. NFL perspective, Lawrence will have a better game, but I don't know if the numbers will be there. ETN ends up scoring the touchdowns, right? I'll take one more Insta and come back then. Lisa Sells. All right, welcome back. Walker or White? Oh, man, it's a good question because White's getting all the catches, right? White's like 4. It was like 4, 10, 18, I think it was 18 targets. He caught all 18 of them in the last 3 games, and he's like money there. Now, Tennessee is very tough in yardage against receiving running backs. Now, Walker's scuffling. And I do think, like I said, I do think the calf was an issue. And if it was more than they let on, and like I said earlier, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, ass kickers in the middle, that's not an easy matchup for him. White is your floor play. White is going to get you 9 PPR points in his sleep, right? I don't know if Tennessee, there's much of a ceiling here. Not getting that 2 touchdown game, most likely again, right? But Kenneth Walker, if he gets to the outside, Montez Sweat was a loss in the run game. Bryce Young wasn't. He pass rusher. But if Walker gets to the outside, he's risky because, again, I don't know the calf's 100%. So White's your safe play. If you need 20 points out of your running back, Walker's a big play running back, but there's a lot of risk. So if you want the safe layup, go White. If you need the boom bust, then you go with Walker. And I hate telling people to sit Walker because the dude's a stud, but right now it's very problematic. All right, Coach Amador. I think I answered that one for you already. All right, see what else we got here. Scurry, you're welcome. Ricardo Hernandez. Is Charbonnet a season-long hold? Yeah, his schedule's tough. So here's the problem. I think his elevated usage, again, was Walker was dealing with a calf. If that calf is fine, Walker's their guy. It ended up being my initial take after the NFL draft was right. He was insurance for Walker. As this season went on, I backed off on it. I said, well, maybe it's a 1-2 punch. It hadn't been. But that work usage coincided for Charbonnet with Walker's calf. And my guess is the calf isn't serious because he hasn't missed time. So I think between the schedule and that Walker is the guy, if you have the roster spot, you need it for something else, I think you could move past Charbonnet. But, man, if Walker were to get hurt, Charbonnet is going to be a top 15 running back. So there's that. Even with the schedule, he'd be because he catches the ball. Pepe the Tiger 80. Javonte Williams are tanked out. Williams went up like 80% of the snap share. I think he is completely the guy right now. Buffalo, nothing scary right now. Daquan Jones, they lost him. That was a huge loss to their run defense. Even Matt Milano was a great run defender. They're Terrell Bernard, concussion. I'd be stunned if he played. Very few players getting cleared the next week. I'm going to say Javonte. Look, Dell always has upside, but I really think Lou Anarumo is an answer for him here. I believe with Nico Collins out, I believe that's going to be the mark. I crapped out on Insta again. I'll come back. Camden. Yeah, so I'm done crapping out there. All right, I'm done crapping out on Insta. Sorry about that. So Pepe the Tiger, we went with Javonte for the high floor with a reasonable ceiling. Tank Dell, of course, could go off, but I think this floor game, and Arumo is going to have an answer for that passing attack here. All right, Camden Williams, pick 3. CeeDee Lamb, D-Hop, Olave, and Metcalf. Oh, man. Yeah, it's a good problem to have. You look, CD's on this insane roll, and I know they could get out to a lead. You can't sit him anymore. Even if he gets 6 targets because they're winning, he could do a ton with that. Right now, he is playing at an insane level. So you can't, if they have to have him, he could score 30 points. They may not need him, but you can't sit that kind of upside. None of your other guys have that upside. Hopkins playing Tampa. Jamel Dean is probably coming back, but you know what? Dean and Carlton Davis, they're really not a match for him. So, but I think Hopkins is more, they're going to blitz a lot. And I think Levis is going to have some problems with that. So I think Hopkins is a floor guy. Olave hasn't really gotten it done lately. Minnesota with the pressure, he's going to get the volume though. So he and Hopkins, I'm going to put Metcalf as my number 2 because again, against that secondary in Washington and the pass rush trade away their best 2 rushers, Metcalf should have a strong game here. So the tiebreaker for DeAndre Hopkins and Olave, I got a tie break. I have them like right by in my right. Olave in this specific contest, Minnesota's not giving up big plays. I'm going to go with Olave. I'm sorry, Minnesota has not been giving big plays. So Hopkins against Tampa could have a big play. I hate sitting Olave. Good God, I hate sitting Olave. But I'm going to give DeAndre Hopkins a slight edge over him. That's a tough one. Master J3, pick full PPR, pick 3. Ayuk, Ridley, Ford, Pittman. I think I answered this for somebody. I am sitting Ford from that group. And then Tyler Sperry, Dell or Ridley. So Ridley would have a better floor here. Dell's had 3 weak games this year, very weak, and Ridley had weak games too. I think out of the bio, I was saying earlier, he runs outs, he runs digs. I have to think Peterson figured out how to best get them. They have to optimize their offense. I think those routes will work against the 49ers pass rush too. When they rush, you got to get the digs, the outs. They got to get those. I think Ridley has a good floor in this game, but the ceiling's always sketchy. Dell's your boom bust play because if Dell gets behind the defense, he's had some broken defenses. He's caused some busts. Scheme has helped. So but there's a real chance for a floor game here. So Ridley's your safe play. I think he gets you 9, 10 PPR points if he gets a touchdown, fortunate. But Dell low floor, but I think his ceiling is much higher. So I would frame it on that. Uncle Ted's in the house. I'll come back to Insta in a moment. Uncle Ted, good to see you as always. Pick 3, Bijan, Brees, Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, Najee, or Keaton Mitchell. Mitchell did practice full on Friday. It probably is a 3-man rotation. With the players you have, I don't know that we take the lottery ticket, boom, bust play on the few carries. Bijan hasn't been cashing, but the matchup is one of the better ones he'll have. Brees Hall, Raiders are playing spirited now with Pierce as the head coach. And teams are just ganging up on him. And that's something that I didn't know would work, but the offensive line is really beat up. Barkley, oh my God, Dallas is going to put everybody to stop him. Jonathan Taylor, I liked it. Look, New England's tough against the run, but Taylor gets targets, and New England hasn't stopped the passing game for the running backs. So I'm going to go with Taylor for one. Najee, they ran under center last week, which totally boosted his performance. And but I'm going to go with Bijan. I'm going to go Barkley. Even though Dell's going to gang up on him, he probably catches 4 out 5 passes. Let's go with Barkley over Najee. I can't trust Najee enough. And then we'll go with Jonathan Taylor. That's how we're going to go on that. Yep. And then Jay Red. Oh, yeah, I'm going over to Insta. We're going to Insta. Coach Amador, I answered that for you already. If you haven't had your question answered, please be patient. I will get to you as soon as I possibly can. R-Dre22, Russell Wilson or Will Levis? So again, with Will Levis, I think Tampa's blitz is going to give him some problems. They're supposed to have both of their corners. Like Dean probably plays because he practiced Friday, even though he had a concussion. Russell Wilson, Buffalo's defense is not doing well. Russell's putting up fantasy numbers to a degree better than NFL numbers. And I think Sean Payton comes out with a good game plan for this one after the bye. I'm going to give Russell Wilson a 51-49 edge. If your gut says Levis, I get it, but I think the blitz is going to be a problem for him in this one. Craig and Iowa, you're hearing this to be a JSN breakout game. JSN needs snaps. The breakout last week, again, all I'll tell you is this. He got the snaps and the targets last week because they were getting their rear ends handed to them by Baltimore. They couldn't play their 2 tight end sets on 60-70% of the snaps. They had to go full 3 receiver sets in the second quarter of that game. That's what happened to JSN. There is not room for 3 receiver sets in that offense. It's a 2 tight end offense. They rotate 3 of those guys, Disley, Parkinson, and Fant. That's not going away. They're not making an in-season switch, especially for a team that's like in the playoffs. They're not making an in-season switch. Don't see it happening. Could I be wrong? Yes. Wrong a lot. But I just don't see fundamentally how they change their offense for this guy. I don't see that because they're winning. If they were losing, it's like we got to shake things up. I'm going Pittman. Pittman gets his targets. Pittman is high volume, high target. And, oh, man, New England's all kind of banged up in the secondary. They got real problems in their secondary. And then Brew 616 on Insta. Ayuk or Deontay Johnson. So we talked earlier, Deontay Johnson's always a good floor. Plays on very well in the 3 games he's been back. Ayuk has a good floor too here. And Jacksonville, they've been great against the pass. But this is Shanahan's offense. They're going to scheme up Ayuk to be open. Trent Williams is back, which means finally Brock Purdy will have some time to throw. So that might be good. I'm going to go with Ayuk here. He has a higher ceiling. And I think the floor is reasonable. And we get one more Insta question here. I answered that one already. R-Dre, I have heard nothing about Leonard Fournette being activated from the practice squad. Now, because it's a Monday game, they don't have to declare that. Like everybody declared by 3:00 today, Central Time, about their players. But because it's a Monday game, and we won't find out till after most of the games kicked off. My assumption is I don't see him being active. I haven't heard any whisper of that. Now, if I missed something, I did, but I usually don't. Tony, the Tigar, Godwin or Jahan Dotson. Yeah, Dotson's like I said, he's playing hot the last couple of weeks. Seattle corners, not the best matchup for him. Godwin, I think, is a beautiful matchup. Tennessee can't cover, and they're down Sean Murphy Bunting. He's out. That's the best corner they have right now. They got him from Tampa in the offseason. I'm going Godwin here, 60-40. Uncle Ted, you love Dalton Schultz. Maybe Nico is not correlated to Schultz in any way. So if Schultz is going to have a big game, it didn't matter whether Nico was there. When Tank Dell was out with the concussion for the game and a half, Schultz went off. Now, last week, everybody went off because they played the Bucs, and the Bucs couldn't cover anybody. And so even Noah Brown went off in that game. But they're not correlated. So if you thought Schultz would have a big game with Collins or without, it didn't matter. There's no correlation between the two. James, Purdy or Mayfield? Love them both this week. I love Mayfield a little bit more, though, because Tennessee, they're not the run-stopping unit they were last year, the year before. They're just good against the run. But, man, that offensive line can't run block in Tampa. And so they're not going to run well. And Rachaad White's not a yardage guy. He's receiver. And so they're going to have to pass. Well, man, Godwin and Evans have massive mismatches against Tennessee. And remember, even if Tennessee tries to bring some heat, Tampa's the number one pass protecting team. And they run play action a lot. So Purdy has a great floor, but Mayfield does too. And Mayfield, I think, has more ceiling here. And then London, McLaurin, or Dotson, or Boyd. You got to pick two. We're going with London and McLaurin. We're going with the two alphas here. Boyd's facing Tavir Thomas. That's a bad cornerback matchup. He's so good in the slot. Iron Eddie, Herbert, or roll with the hot hand Stroud. Herbert just doesn't have any weapons right now. Palmer might not be great, but he was helpful. And now teams are bracketing the hell out of Keenan. Now he's having his floor games. He's fine, but we're not seeing the upside, right? It's a real problem. And the hot hand was one game. He had 2 games under 200 yards the prior 2 weeks. So hot for 1 week, but that was Tampa. And that blitz didn't get home. And Jamel Dean was out. And he left for a concussion early in that game. Herbert should have a better floor here. Stroud, it's a real iffy one for Stroud. Lou Anarumo, that's a big ask. All right, let me see how the questions are flowing here. All right, I got here, and let me just see how many I got in Insta real quick and see if I can get through here. All right, I'm going to finish out Instagram. I got like 3 questions here on Insta, and then I will just go back to YouTube. All right, Carlos Mario, trade away Eckler and Montgomery to get Justin Jefferson. Yeah, if you already got Henry and Breece Hall, you're trading out of strength. Because Justin Jefferson, well, you know what though? Justin Jefferson with Josh Dobbs isn't going to be the same as Justin Jefferson with Kirk Cousins. And you're giving up, if you were giving up Henry and Breece Hall and keeping Eckler and Montgomery, but you're giving up 2 backs who are way more productive each week. PPR, of course. Eckler's catching the passes though. I might not be inclined to do that. But again, if you're good starting Henry and Hall, then make the trade because then you bring a number 1 receiver in. All right, let me finish these out on here. Quartz Collector, Dobbs or Levis? I don't like the matchup for either, but I am going to go with Levis in this one because Tampa does it. They're going to blitz, but they do have their struggles. Whereas Dobbs, that's a rough matchup with the Saints. They're an excellent defense. And I'm caught up on Insta. Good luck, everybody. Be back tomorrow. And you can catch me on RotoWire YouTube. All right, good deal there. Closed out there. All right, close that one up. Turn my phone off. All right, good deal. All right, let's finish out YouTube now. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Jacob Ander, Evan Ingram, or Jake Ferguson. Ingram safer, and I know the 49ers are great against tight ends. Ingram runs different routes. They're not your typical sit down in the zone. He'll run a lot that are across the field. It's a different challenge. Ingram has a better floor. The reason Ferguson doesn't have a better floor is if Dallas runs out to this insane lead and they can run the ball, they might not need him. But I think Ferguson has a reasonable enough floor and a high enough ceiling that I would risk that little bit of a lessened floor for Ferguson sitting because he's being used in the red zone a lot. And Ingram doesn't get a lot of those end zone looks. So if you want the safest possible play, it's Ingram. I'm going to go with Ferguson because, again, I think the floor and the upside ratio is better. KJ Frederick, better RB2 to start. Singletary, Charbonnet, Spears, or Uncle Lenny. I got to look up something because people keep bringing up Fournette, and I have not heard a thing. So let me just look on the RotoWire site, man, just see if there's something I missed because Right now, I don't even have him at a projection for the week because let me just see if there's something I missed. All right, Leonard Fournette. He's on the practice squad. Yeah, there's been no RotoWire. We don't miss like anything news wise. There's been no news since he was signed to the practice squad. So my guess is he'll be there a while. So yeah, so Fournette off the grid. Anyway, of your three Singletary, Spears, or Singletary isn't a bad matchup, but he probably has the most bankable volume in this game. So he has the best floor of them. Spears, it's a bad matchup in the receiving game. The linebackers in Tampa probably give him an issue with getting big yardage there. So I would probably say Singletary's the best floor, and that's why I would start him. I don't think any of these guys have a massive ceiling. Iron Eddie, half PPR, Deontay, DK, and Tank Dell. All right, so DK's in, matchups pristine, pass rush, Washington traded with 2 edge rushers. He's in there for sure. The other two, it's going to be this way. Deontay has been a beautiful floor PPR play. You're going to get you 10 to 12 PPR points probably without a problem. Even with George Pickens begging for the ball, he should still get you double digits, right? Tank Dell, this is a tough one. Cincinnati's going to have, they know what he can do and they can game plan. And with no Nico Collins, that makes a difference. So Tank, though, is your boom bust play because he can make the big play. But I think there's a great probability they keep him down. So if you want this, you want the double digit points, half PPR. I see it was half PPR. Deontay's probably good for 8 to 10 bankable half PPR points. Dell could get you 3. He could get you 16. So, but I think the lower end is more probable. So I would start Deontay, but if you have a gut feel that you want to swing for the upside of Dell, I get it. Jeff, hello. Would I start Lamar or Dak? Yeah, somebody had a similar question earlier. Jackson has a floor. He's going to run for something. They play man. Cleveland plays a lot of man. That means they got to turn their back, so he should be able to get some rushing yardage. Dak, the only concern is this. Dallas gets out to a big lead with running or defense. They might not need him. Dak has a higher ceiling. So they need him. He could shred, but they might not. Lamar is your floor play. But if you need 25 points out of your quarterback, I don't think Lamar is getting that against the Browns. So if you need 25 and you're willing to risk floor, it'd be Dak. Anfo, Gino Carr. I'm going Gino. Again, with Washington, both those pass rushers traded away. The tackles hadn't been protecting well in Seattle, but now this is an easy one for him. And that gives him time. And those cornerback matchups, not a problem at all. So I like that. Lex plant some trees. Sutton, Adams, or Ridley this week, PPR. Man, how do we sit Devontae Adams? 4 games, he hasn't done anything. He's like 4. Was he have 130 yards over the last 4 weeks combined? One was a 70-yard game. The rest have been ugly. Aiden O'Connell, that's a problem. Sauce Gardner, the windows might be tight and quarterback might have to throw to those windows. Ridley hasn't done well, though. I think they're going to get him the ball a little more, but Adams is going to get targets. Sutton, it is a good matchup, but we know that the yardage hasn't been high. I don't think Sutton or Ridley have enough upside for me to sit Adams. So based on that, I'm going to start Adams. Irv Smith or Cade Otton? Cade Otton is a bad matchup. Tennessee can handle tight ends fairly well. Irv Smith, they probably need him more this week. And I know the other tight ends, Tanner Hudson, saw more targets last week. But I really think Chase is hurt. If he plays, I don't think he's anywhere near 100. They brought up 2 practice squad guys. That tells me something. And then Tavir Thomas is going to be on Boyd. That's a tough matchup. So I think the best middle of the field option for him is really be Irv Smith. I'm going to give Irv Smith a 51-49 over Otton. And one more, Lex plant some trees. Different league. Otton, Hunter Henry, or Irv Smith. I like Hunter Henry. Indy hasn't been covering the tight end well this year. And Hunter Henry, when he's had good matchups, and Indy, their pass rush is getting better, and New England's line's not good. But I think that together meshes up where there's going to be some pressure. And I think the outlets that Hunter Henry are going to be there. I'm going to go Hunter Henry. Chad, all right. You got a rare normal question. They're all good. I love all the questions. Jacoby Myers, Michael Pittman, Sutton, or something, and your gut's telling me to get Sutton involved, but struggling to justify. And you got to pick 2. I talked about Sutton a minute ago. He is a regular in the red zone, so there's that. Jacoby Myers, The matchup for him isn't going to be good. It's going to be DJ Reed or Sauce Gardner. So there's that. That's not a good matchup for him. So if your gut says Sutton, Buffalo's struggling on defense. So there's no reason. There's no reason to shy away from it. I don't think Jacoby's in a great spot, and the pass rush gets going. Aiden O'Connell could be in trouble. So I go with your gut. It totally go. You get Pittman for sure. Pittman for sure. New England's so beat up at secondary. Arvon, Connor, or Najee. Oh man, that's a good one. Najee looked good last week. I was saying Kenny Pickett was under center with the running game, and that's something they rarely do, and they did it. And man, Najee looked like himself. Surprise! Matt Canada made a good decision. James Conner, man, he's going to be involved in the passing game too. And it's not an easy matchup for Conner, but the dude's a stud. He saw it earlier in the season, no help, and he was just balling. I'm going to go with Conner here. Because Conner, don't be surprised if Conner scores 2 touchdowns this game back. Don't be surprised. He's the big red zone guy where Najee is there, but Warren gets work there too. That's enough to separate it for me. KJ Frederick, Christian Kirk, or Devontae Adams. Wow. I do think Kirk's going to have a good game here. I think that they're going to need him in this one. I really think that. But, man, I told you I'm not excited about Devontae Adams this week. But Christian Kirk's, that's a tougher question than the other one. I'm going to go Christian Kirk 52-48. Christian Kirk 52-48. I don't know if Adams can have a big game at this point with Aiden O'Connell and that defense. Eric, welcome back. You need 2 from this group. Yeah, let's see what we're doing on time. Yeah, we got to wind these up. I got to go through these kind of quickly because we're well past the hour. I'm going to go through a little more quickly. Eric, you need 2 from this group: Ridley, Lockett, JSN, Douglas, and Brown. Brown. I'm trying to think who Brown is, which Brown we're talking about. Lockett has a great matchup. I like Lockett this week. I think Ridley's going to be involved. Douglas has a little bit of an ankle. God, I wish I knew who Brown was. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking AJ Brown. He's off this week, and I know it's not AJ Brown on the question. I just can't think of who you mean. Too many questions, too much time. If you put at the end who we mean by Brown, I'll just tell you my projection for him. Mike Duke, full PPR. If you meant Marquise Brown, Eric, if you meant Marquise Brown is top of the list of all those. You get 10 targets with Kyler Beck. Mike Duke, full PPR. Marquise, Noah Brown, Marquise Brown. Again, double-digit targets. I'm fully expecting Kyler loves him, gets him the ball, gets him into space well. George Pickens, I know squeaky wheel narrative, but and it's a good matchup with Green Bay for sure. But I think the floor for Marquise Brown is much better. I don't really trust Kenny Pickett, and I know Pickens had 4 good games. I don't discount that, but I think Brown's floor is so much higher, and the ceiling is similar. Mo Green, T-Law, Will Levis, or Kyler Murray. The floor play is Lawrence. He's going to get you a floor base, and he'll run for some yards too. The boom bust play is Kyler Murray. First game back, we don't know if there's going to be rust, but he has real ceiling in this game. Tracy, welcome back. Oh, man, last place. Come on. We got to get you better. We got to get you set up for better success. We'll figure something out. We'll get you in better shape. S. Morris, PPR D2, Noah Brown, Mims. Yeah, the coach said they were going to use him in week 4, and he never saw any work. Don't believe those jerks. All right, what else you got here? Shaheed at Minnesota. Yeah, they blitz. They stop the deep game. I love Shaheed, but I don't like him this week. Jamal Williams. Jameson Williams. Doesn't get work, so you need 2, huh? All right. Let me look at those. I will, from this group, go with Shaheed. Because if he clicks on a big play, you're good. It's not the best matchup for him, but I'll go with him. Noah Brown, they were moving him in the slot a lot, and that he'll get Mike Hilton there. I don't like him against Mike Hilton. Mims, I'd be stunned if he got 3 targets. Stunned. And if he catches one of them, I'd be excited. So for your number 2, God, I'm going to go Jameson Williams. I mean, Detroit has a big advantage on the Chargers. All right. In Flextive, maybe like 2K, Kyler Murray, Sam Howell, Levis, Dobbs, Mayfield. Wow, start 1. I am going with Baker Mayfield. Love the matchup. There won't be any pass rush on him, and the receivers have huge matchup edge. And all right, got you there. Jeff, you're welcome. And I think you asked that a few times, so we're good. Ray Gamer. Raiders D versus the Jets. Colts D versus. Thank you for putting both of them down. Some of all these questions fly. The defense trying to remember who the hell they playing, but yeah, all right. So good there. So I think the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to get pressure. They're at home. They're playing better with the new coach. Brandon Aubrey, Virginia. I'm the wrong guy to ask for kickers. Kickers require luck, and I am the least lucky person in the world. I can't give you any rational analysis on the game there. I would always defer to the over in a game. Whichever game has a higher over, I would tend to go with that. But, it's possible Hopkins gets no attempts at all. So I'd probably say Aubrey has a better floor. That'd be my guess. But don't trust me on kicker questions. I get them wrong like 90% of the time. I don't play any legal kickers, and I'm glad because that was a weakness. Lineup and standard. Waddle, Hurts on bye. Prescott, Olave, Metcalf, Barkley, Hall, Taysom over Hawkinson. So if you got a question, that specific question of in or out for somebody, let me know what that is. I can't process that all together. If you have somebody who's specifically in or out, and I'll give you that answer. You're worried about Barkley. Barkley's at least going to get 4 catches, so there's that. So I'll tell you that for sure. If it's Montgomery, I would play Montgomery over Barkley this week. I would play him over Barkley this week. Yeah, I totally would play him over Barkley. If that was your question. Ask if you have something more specific, Ray, you want to narrow it down for me. Old dude struggles with these long, complicated questions. Sorry about that. My fault, not yours. You did nothing wrong. Steve, flex position, Kirk or Cook? I'm going Kirk. Cook said too much floor. Kirk, they really need him in this matchup. Again, Ray, with Noah Brown, he plays. They moved him a lot more to the slot last week, and he's going to catch. I just said his name a minute ago. Mike Hilton. I think that he can't win that matchup much. Henry Odom. All right. Need 2 running backs, full PPR. Henry, Jacobs, Cook, or Stevenson. Henry against Tampa. I know people talk about Tampa. They mention EPA. They're not the same run defense. Henry could have a good game. Jacobs for sure. We're going to go with Jacobs, Henry. Stevenson had that long run. It was a bust, a coverage bust, defensive cut bust. He just can't get 3 yards. That line can't block. It's not him. It's his line. I'm going to go with Henry and Jacobs. And would I trade Diggs for Henry and Hopkins? No, Henry's getting about half the snaps, and I think he could slow down as the season goes on. And Will Levis, we don't know what he is. I would ride Diggs. Chad, last I heard, Bernard was on the right side of the questionable after 3 limited practices. Yeah, but the independent neurologist has to clear him. So hopefully that's the case. It's true, though. Not many players. Somebody cited on an earlier show this morning, there's been like 2 players this year that played there. I hope Bernard plays. But, yeah, hopefully he plays. But the limited practices, there are guys, again, the neurologists have been a lot more tight this year. But thank you for pointing that out, Chad. They've been much more tight. AJ Klein. Yes, I love AJ Klein. That dude can tackle. He can play some sideline a little bit too. Daniel Chavez, Ingram or Ferguson? Yeah, somebody had the same question before. Ingram has a pretty solid floor, but I think Ferguson has a little more ceiling. I'm going to go Ferguson there. All right, Dull Guitar. Dynasty traded Diggs, Cooper, and a 3rd and 4th for Olave, T. Higgins. Get a 1st and traded Lamar for 1st. Got Hurts. That's a good deal. Nice job on that. Mo Green. Someone dropped Jahmyr Gibbs in your league to get him. I'm going to try to get him for how much fab. And you have Montgomery. So when you look at your lineup, if Gibbs is somebody you are automatically going to start each week, then you break the bank. It's this late in the season. Nothing else is coming up, right? I mean, it may be, but not likely. So just if you need him in your starting life, if he's not going to be a starter for you, then whatever money you have left, maybe half of that. That's probably what I would say. But if he's going to start for you, then break the bank because that would be huge. But I don't think he's going to get a ton more work than he got when Montgomery was there. Montgomery has his role, right? Steve Arnold, you need 2: Aaron Jones, Breece Hall, Montgomery, or D. Williams. Why am I bonking on D. Williams? Damian Williams, but he's on the IR. Why I'm bonking on D. Williams? Aaron Jones is an auto start for me, and Montgomery's an auto start. And then, you know what? Just totally going with them because Breece Hall, they're just ganging up on him. Aaron Jones, solid play, even though Montravius Adams and those tackles out, middle linebacker Cole Holcomb's out. So Aaron Jones should be better out. OG Bobby, welcome. Let's see. Should you start to JSN or Jahan Dotson? All right. I'm going to go with Dotson over JSN. Remember that snap share last week? It all had to do with them getting blown out. They were a 2 tight end set. They had to go 3 receivers and they were getting blown out and he got all those targets. That's not going to be repeatable. Simp, full PPR, pick 2, Ridley, London, Dell, Kincaid, Cook, Laporte as your tight end. I am going to go so London and Kincaid, but if you want to go, you know what? Because I think London has a similar ceiling to Dell. Kincaid's floor is insane. So, two receivers and a flex. So then for your last one, I'm going to leave Cook out of this one. Ridley should see more targets. He's a floor play. But if you want to go boom bust for that third one, Dell has a higher ceiling than the rest of your remaining players. Thomas C. All right, I'm almost. Oh, and OG Bobby, you did a super chat. Oh, good. You just put it up there. So let me see. Do you have a question for that, or did I get you? I think I got you. All right. So I think we're good. All right. Charlene, I see nice words. Thank you. Thomas, you need 2 in a PPR. London, McLaurin, I know it's not Jamal Williams. You mean Javonte Williams against Buffalo. Yeah, Javonte Williams. All right. I'm going with Javonte. He had like 80% of the snaps. This is a good matchup. Buffalo's not the defense they were. And I love London this week, but McLaurin always gets it done. And it's like London has too much of a floor. So I'm going McLaurin. Gordon, should you trade Ingram and James Cook for McLaurin and Njoku? You have Dalton Schultz, so there's that. Ingram and Cook if you have a tight end ready, you don't need another one. So I'm going to say no to that. Even though Cook's not great, I'm going to say no to that. Jaleel McLaughlin, no. He's the snapshots down like 11% now. Javonte just completely took over. Lex, you're welcome. Chad, no problem. Nice. Aladdin, need to drop one. Mosser, drop Henderson because Kyron Williams is coming back from IR. Henderson probably on the street next week. Oh, Eric, Noah Brown. Noah Brown, they moved him a lot to the slot last week, and he's going to get Mike Hilton there. I project him 3 catches for 28 yards, so that's why I have him in your other scenario. Thank you, Eric. And I think I answered this one for you already. I think we went Baker Mayfield on that one. Dima Fieri, should he trade DJ Moore and Swift for Josh Jacobs and Devontae Smith? I think DJ Moore's a league winner coming forward. Fields is back. He had 300-yard games in his last 4 games at Fields. That's going to continue. He blows away Devontae Smith. And, Josh Jacobs played well last week, but, Swift has a high enough floor. I'm going to go DJ Moore. I think is a league winner the rest of the way. And Lockett, Godwin, Ridley. I'm sitting Ridley in that one. I think Godwin has a great match. Godwin and Lockett have great matchups. R. Scott, good evening to you as well. Feeling like Kyler compared to comparable. So first week back stuff. We don't know what we're going to get. He's a boom bust play. He has a great potential to go off this week, but it's his first week back. We don't know what we're going to get. But I'm excited. I think he can have a big game. But again, I guess that first game back, it's hard to know. Eric, would I go Geno over Lawrence? Yeah, I would. Geno can soil the bed, but this is a great matchup. They're not going to get a pass rush. No Chase Young, no Montez Sweat. They got traded away. So that's huge. Aladdin, drop 2. Henderson, McKinnon, Mitchell, Charbonnet. McKinnon, look, the beat writers in Kansas City think he's going to be heavily involved in the second half. I'm keeping him. Mitchell, if McCaffrey goes down, he could be a league winner. So I'm going to drop Henderson and Charbonnet from that group. And Charlene, thanks. Appreciate you as well. Mo, you're welcome. And late in the season, think you go big for Gibbs. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, definitely. No, totally. 100%. Bobby, all right. Got you sweating. And Charlene. Oh, great. Always good to see you. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging with me.